many-membered body. Amen. We mixed in together. Everybody putting their talent in the middle, and we just sit back and enjoy it. Amen. But tonight we're going to talk about rekindling and rebuilding. Amen. You know, sometimes we go through some things that make us walk around with our head down, you know, but today I want to tell you it's all right to look up. It's all right to feel big. It's all right to go through it, you know, and just show your battle scars and the things you've been through and the pains you had to go through. Amen. The book of Isaiah chapter 48 verse 10 says, "Behold, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction." He said, "I've tested you in the furnace of affliction." He said, "I've tested you in the furnace of affliction." You know, when I was younger, we used to have a wood stove there, and we put fire in the wood stove, and it was hot. You'd open up the door to put another log on the fire, and it was hot. But the Bible says in the furnace, have you ever seen a furnace? He says of affliction. The word affliction means hardship and trials and tribulation. He said, you know what, last night you can't trust nobody if they ain't never been through a storm with you. If they ain't never been through a storm with you. So God puts us through trials and tribulations and hardships so that he can test you and see what kind of man or what kind of woman you are. If you're not afraid of the giant, if you're not afraid of the Egyptians, if you're not afraid of the enemy, if you could look some things in the eye and say, you know what, I ain't afraid of you. Amen. I've been through some things. I've been here before. The next time I got to go through some things, I'm going to remember that I've been through some things. I know how to deal with this situation. I know how to deal with cancer. I know how to deal with eviction. I know how to deal with the doctor. I know how to deal with my lost children. I know how to deal with some things in my mind and my emotions because I've been here before. And the next time the devil tries to bring a trial, say, devil, I've been tried in the furnace of affliction. And I ain't afraid of you because I've been here before and I'm used to the fire. You ever been used to the fire? You got to go through some things so that you could be used to the fire. I want to talk to you real quickly. I want to go back and talk about Nehemiah. When Nehemiah came and he wanted to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. I want to rebuild some walls in your life that have been torn down. Are there some walls in your life that have been torn down? You may be successful in the job place and unsuccessful in relationships. You may be successful in relationships and unsuccessful in finances. You may be successful in finances, but your children are a mess. You may be a successful parent, but your emotions are a mess. Are there some walls in your life that have been torn down, that the enemy has burnt down? But tonight, I want to talk to you about rebuilding some walls. Amen. Book of Nehemiah, chapter 1, verse 3 says, "And then they said to me, the surveyors who are left from captivity in the province are there in great distress and reproach. The walls of Jerusalem is also broke down, and its gates are burned with fire." So it was when I heard these, and this is the Nehemiah talking, so it was when I heard these words that I sat down and I wept and I mourned. For many days I was fasting and praying before the God of heaven. Have you ever known somebody in your life that is going through some things and they came and told you, they said, you know what, friend, you know what, mama, you know what, dad, you know what, I've been through some things. There's some things going on in my life and there's some walls that are broken down, and you walked away after hearing their story and you were distressed and your heart was broken. And you said, you know what, I got to pray to God and I got to ask God how I can help them rebuild the walls. Therefore the king said to me, I'm going to chapter 2, verse 2, and I'm going to be hopping around like a rabbit, so stay with me. Or a Mexican jumping bean, I'm going to be hopping around like a Mexican jumping bean. Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 2 says, "Therefore the king said to me, why is your face sad, since you are not sick?" Have you ever been not sick, but you don't feel good? See, that's good preaching right there. You can write that down. Have you ever been sad and it shows on your face, but you're not sick? The king said to him, what's your problem? This is nothing but sorrow of heart. See, sometimes your heart gets so broken it shows on your face. Sometimes you go through so many battles that it just show on your face. Even strangers walk by and be like, what's wrong with you? Are you sick? are you sick or something? You know, sometimes, you know, I sit there and I tell Pastor Misty, I said, Pastor Misty, I said, my blood sugar's low. Give me some candy. She'd be like, are you sick? I'd be like, yeah, I'm seeing little lightning bolts in my mind there, and I need a Snickers, amen. And she hurries up and gets me a candy, and then the little ones, and I eat it up, and I say, they should be bigger. I need another one. You know, you have to keep eating until the lightning goes away. You know, like, sugar low. I don't know why I said that. So I became dreadfully afraid. He said, I was afraid because the king asked me what was wrong. And said to the king, may the king live forever. Why should my face not be sad when the city, the place of my father's tombs, lies waste and its gates are burned with fire? He says, there's a problem here. There's a problem that where I come from and how I started out and the place that I call home is burnt down. You go to work and at work you're successful and you're doing your job and you're getting promoted, but really inside you're dying. Really inside you're sad because your kids are lost or your kids are brokenhearted or your wife are going through some things or you're going through some things or your mom is going through some things or your dad or your cousin or your niece or your nephew or your best friend, and really you're brokenhearted. He says, you know, because the things that I care about the most, and they've been broken down and they've been burned with fire. Nehemiah chapter 2 verse 13 says, see, the king said, okay, Nehemiah, go back to Jerusalem and do what you can, and I give you permission to leave. See, Nehemiah, he had a good job. He would test the wine before the king would take it to make sure that it wasn't poisonous. Kind of like a wine tester, be like, it's good. Now, that's a job I want. You know what I mean? Just test your food out so I make sure you ain't poisoned. You know, we go to the country buffet, and I'll be like, let me taste that. It's okay. Let me have a little bit of that. Okay, so you can eat it now. Amen? That's the job. They'd be like, listen, Pastor Vic, he's going to test your food before you eat it to make sure that's a good job. But he left a good job to go back and to do the work of God. He left a good place. He got a cushy place so that he can go back. So he goes back to Jerusalem. And verse 13 says, and I went out by night through the valley gate to the serpent well and to the refuse gate and viewed the walls of Jerusalem which were broken down and its gates which were burned with fire. Then I went on to the fountain gate and to the king pool, but there was no room for the animal under me to pass. See, it's what he's saying. He's painting a picture. He says, at one time, this used to be a really nice place. At one time, this used to be a strong fortification. At one time, the foundation used to be strong. You go into a building, and you go into the building, and the windows can be broken, and the plumbing can be bad, and the roof can need fixing, and you can still occupy it. But if you go into a building and the foundation is cracked, they're going to make you tear it down and start all over again. So Nehemiah came in, he said, the foundation is cracked. He said, this used to be a really good place to live, but now ain't nobody want to live here. I used to be a really good man, but now you ain't a really good man. I used to have a really strong marriage, but now my marriage ain't that strong. I used to be really secure in my finances, but now my finances ain't that good. I used to be really strong emotionally, but now my emotions are a mess, and nobody wants to live here because it needs to be rebuilt. 15 says, so I went up in the night by the valley and viewed the wall. Then I turned back and entered by the valley gate and so returned. And the officials did not know where I had gone or what I had done. I had not yet told the Jews, the priests, or the nobles, the officials, or the others who did the work. See, he recognized something was wrong. He said, you know what, let me survey the problem. Sometimes you need to step back in your life and say, what's wrong with me? Sometimes you need to check yourself. You need to look around and you need to say, you know what? What's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with this situation? You know, before you ask for help, you know what? You can't come up and say, Pastor Vic, I need help if you don't know what your problem is. So you got to survey the land and understand what your problem is, and then you can go and address the issue. 17, then I said to them, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lies waste and its gates are burned with fire. Come and let us build the wall walls of Jerusalem. Now he's telling them, come and let us build the walls of Jerusalem that we may no longer be a reproach. Do you know that the longer that your walls stay broken down, the longer you allow the enemy to come and go as he pleases? You ever wonder why the enemy come in and kick your can all over the place and then leave, and then you get a little victory, and he comes in and kicks your can all over the place, and then he leaves, and you get a little victory, and he comes back in? Because there is a hole in your wall, and it needs to be rebuilt. And I told them of the hand of my God, which had been good upon me, and also of the king's word that he had spoken to me. So they said, let us rise up and build. Then they set their hands on this good work. But when the Sanballat and the Horonite Tobiah and the Amorite official and Gesem the Arab heard of it, they laughed at us and despised us. Brother, have you ever told somebody, I'm going to be the best rapper, I'm going to get some Grammys, and I'm going to be on the top 10, and I'm going to be on secular radio, and you're going to hear my rap? And they say, you're not. Like, Turkey, talk to me like that. You lucky you say what you want on Facebook, but you don't check me in my face. I'll catch you slipping, amen? He said they laughed at us. I got big dreams of being a big preacher, of going all over the nation and going all over the world and telling my testimony of the good things. No, you're not. You can't even pay your rent. But one day, see, the haters, they come into your life to talk smack about you so that they can try to discourage you from your dreams.
That's right.
I got a dream. But you know what the Bible calls? He says vision. I got a vision. I got a vision. I got a vision of one day of grandeur, of one day my walls being built and my walls being fortified and me fixing the problems that I have in my life. He says, so they laughed at us and they despised us and said, what is this thing that you are doing? Will you rebel against the king? So I answered them and said to them, the God of heaven himself will prosper us. Therefore his servants will arise and build. But you have no heritage or right or memorial in Jerusalem. In other words, he's telling his haters, listen here, hater, you can't see my vision. And I am no longer giving you a right to make fun of me. Yeah. I'm no longer giving you a right to talk down to me. I'm no longer giving you a right to come and tell me what you think about my dream. We give all these people dreams. You ever have God just give you a vision, give you a dream, and you share it with someone, and they're like, oh, that'll never happen. You're like, what did you? No, I'm telling you so you can encourage me. I'm telling you so you can tell me, yeah, that's a great idea. You could do that, and you could go forth. And they say, no, I don't think you could do that. And they discourage you. But you have to, in a place, you have to tell people, you have to tell some people in your life, I'm no longer giving you permission to tell me what you think about my vision. I'm no longer giving you permission to discourage me. I'm no longer giving you permission to doubt me. I'm no longer giving you permission to come against me because you have no right. Book of Nehemiah, chapter 4. But it so happened when Sanballat heard that we were rebuilding the wall, that he was furious and very indignant and mocked the Jews. You ever wonder why people get mad at you when you just starting to create your dream? You know, I got a dream, I got a vision, I got a plan, and I'm just going to put it into place. And it's like your victory makes them mad. Your victory, your promotion, it makes them mad because you're doing something that God has told you to do, and it says they were indignant and they mocked the Jews.